Welcome back, folks. It's Craig Bushon live on Be First in Media, BeFirstInMedia.com. I've got someone sitting to my left. He really got the crowd rolling today. Get Out the Vote rally. What an awesome event with the WILCO Tea Party and all the folks who showed up today. And then when I was asked to MC this, and I knew my friend, he said, "Hey, you want to MC the event?" And I looked down the list and I saw, wait a minute, I know that guy. I go, wait a second.
Unfortunately.
I call him AC. That's my nickname, because he's always cool. But really, it's Apostle Claver. Welcome back to the show. How are you, my friend?
What's up, CB?
Yeah, thanks. See, look at that. We're acronym rich.
AC and CB.
And you're on BFIM.
Yeah, you got a good little operation going here.
Yeah, you're darn right. Well, it's all about getting the message out. You see the site right there. We just had an op-ed sent to us by Ted Cruz that we posted up, and we're getting stuff out there in real time. Because the power of the media comes from getting the facts to us, the people, as soon as they come out. Not sifting through some tyrannical government system.
Well, it's something, Craig, that we need to do on our side as far as conservatives are concerned. We've really fallen behind the curve when it comes to information technology. I have a friend that wrote a book called, her name is Kat Rice, and she wrote a book called The Internet is Blue. In essence, it was showing how the left really dominates social media, dominates the internet, and has mastered the ability of getting their points of view, their propaganda out there through the public.
Absolutely.
They know how to do that. And we're falling behind on that.
Well,
and so what you're doing here is really forefront. It's really forefront technology.
We have decided, as you can see through our web source we have here, one of our slogans is leading the internet revolution. And then we added leading the conservative internet revolution because it's an oxymoron. You don't have to go too far back and look at SOPA and PIPA and even look at our own Lamar Smith within the Republican Party and how they delivered that type of legislature, a bill that wasn't even read. It felt like Nancy Pelosi was doing it. But the bottom line is, and we have got to start paying attention to what we're doing on the conservative side because the youth of America, you and I, we're not old, but we're not 19 either, let alone 14.
Right.
The media of tomorrow, which is literally tomorrow, is not regular TV. Kids don't watch TV. Young adults don't watch TV. 26-year-olds don't watch TV. They get it on their tablets. They get it on the web. They get it on their phones.
Their phones right here.
That's where they get it. Yeah. And we have got, for those of us who are pushing the message that we have of liberty, justice, the American way, pushing back, we've got to get on the right frequency. So I believe, that's why we built out Be First in Media, is to get on that frequency.
Right. So the technology, it always amazes me that when you and I have conversations, you've opened up another front. And you recognize the importance of terrestrial radio, but you've always opened up another front, and that's how your mind operates. You've always had something rolling around in your head about what can we do to sort of change the course of direction here. What can we do to do more penetration into those areas that need to hear our conservative solutions? And we just don't have enough guys on that platform that are thinking that way. And I think because our demographic on the conservative side is still so overweighted to those who are 55 and 60 or over,
right,
that they still are relying so heavily on terrestrial radio and traditional forms of media, and there's something evolutionary happening all the time when it comes to information technology. And I just think we need to foster the very fertile talent that we have out there. There's some people out there on our side that have some very fertile imaginations. We need to continue to encourage them and support them and push for them to be on the forefront of this evolution, technology. Some of the things that are going to be happening within our lifetimes. Think about it. Just the advent of the internet. We knew nothing like that was even going to come along.
Oh, absolutely right.
And so what's going to happen next? We just have to make sure that our eyes are open and our ears are pricked, to be able to understand what's going to happen next, and don't fall behind the curve so much. Our message and being very wise, being very strategic, astute, about technology, like you're doing with BFIM. It's just, or CBTV or what. I mean, it's just it needs to be expansive. You're on the forefront, but you need competition. There needs to be more of you out there. It is nowhere in the world, with the expansiveness of our globe, that your voice and your voice alone can bring it not just beyond the state of Texas or beyond the United States, but these principles that we so heartily, so thoroughly believe in. And there's African countries need to hear this.
Oh, absolutely.
Libya needs to hear
absolutely.
This. Syria needs to hear
And it needs to be done in multiple languages. It has to be done by everybody. Listen, people, it's like I was saying earlier today up on stage. Age has its own frequency. Demographics, color of skin has its own frequency.
That's right.
What part of the railroad track you came from has its own frequency.
That's right.
What part of the world you come from travels on its own frequency. It's all about frequency, and it's about dialing it in. And now in the digital age, it's down to a 98.9 or a 103.5. And if you get 1 point off, it's static, or you only hear just part of what people are saying. So we have to fine-tune the message. And so what our goal is, and we're launching what's called BFIB, Be First in Business, which is a capitalist business broadcasting network that has businesses that believe in the American way, believe in the laws of capitalism, believe in things like E-Verify, believe that on purpose is the only way that we will succeed from the direction that we're going. We have to pull back from where we've been dragged. See, you and I are of a generation that we didn't cause a lot of the issues. I talk with so many people that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s. Met a man who is 94 years old. I met him in a coffee shop. His name's Bill. I won't give you his last name. He sits down with me. And I was introduced to him. And most people, hey, see you later. I said, how old is this guy? And he's doing what? And he lives alone. He's coming to the coffee shop every day. I don't care if you're playing dominoes or if you're just sitting there sipping on some Java. I want to know what this guy's thinking, but I really want to know what he's seen. I want to know what he knows. And I sat down with him, and he said, yeah, I'm a World War II veteran. And he pulls his dog tags out of his wallet that he still carries with him. And his wife, who passed away some 20 years ago. And I said to him, I'm involved with an organization called Heroes Night Out, man. It's a great thing. And he goes, well, I'm no hero. And I said, you don't understand something. What do you mean you're no hero? Look what you've done. And I listed the things that he had told me back to him. And he said, I am no hero. See, he comes from that part of time where we say it's the greatest generation. He doesn't believe that either. He believes that the greatest generation is still yet to be. Because the battles are going to keep coming, is what he told me. They're going to keep coming. But the one thing I learned from him is that he stands up every day and he does something. He sat and talked with me for 30 minutes. He didn't have to do that. I guess I didn't have to do it, but he didn't have to share his miniature life story. You can't fit 9 years in 30 minutes. But we have to start asking even the older generation what they know and what they've learned. See, I don't like the term retirement. I don't like when we throw the elderly away. They're the wisest among us.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily wise to bite the hand that feeds us. And we have, from our youth, we've been told to be very reverent to our elders. And certainly to those that stormed those beaches and in World War II and the Pacific and Korea.
Omaha Beach.
But I want to pose something, and I don't mean this to be irreverent, but I think it's something that has been circling in my head for a while. And when we talk about the greatest generation, but I'm thinking, okay, these guys went overseas to defeat fascism, to defeat National Socialism, to defeat imperialism, namely Japan. But doggone it, what laws were enacted in this country that we're dealing with right now? When they were the major portion of the electorate. And we're dealing with that. Yes, we thank you for the fact that We still have the United States of America, and we still have Texas. But we're dealing with infiltration of those very principles that they were losing their lives over. Okay, it resides here in our society, and we're trying to beat that stuff. How did they let it happen?
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've had that conversation, not with this particular gentleman, Bill, but I've had that conversation with other people a little younger than him. And I've had them come up to me. I had one man, late 70s, with tears in his eyes, say, "It's my fault." And I said, "What do you mean it's your fault?" He says, "I believed them. I believed in what they said. Walter Cronkite. I believed in the big three." And I'm not talking about General Motors and Ford and Chrysler. They believed in ABC, CBS, NBC. They believed in what people said. They didn't. They did go and fight, and they did stand up. And when they came back, a lot of things did happen. And the overwhelming theme that I've had from a lot of them is, yeah, we believed that the people that we elected would not turn out to be the way that they are. Kind of like the wolf in sheep's clothing, where they turned. And I've had very few been able to explain to me why they didn't stand up then. And then we ended up, going into Korea, we ended up going into Vietnam, we ended up then having Desert Shield.
But there were those clarion voices that were there at the time.
Absolutely.
I mean, like Ronald Reagan. I mean, Ronald Reagan was warning back in the early 60s, you don't want this socialized medicine.
Right.
You know, this Social Security thing is going to cost us some major problems. And he was warning long before the civil rights legislation, before the enactment of the Great Society. That was Ronald Reagan. I mean, he was doing his speeches, okay? You know, who's this wacky actor from California or whatever?
Yeah.
But he was warning us prophetically, this is going to cause problems. And so now here we are in this fiscal morass. I mean, we're in trouble fiscally.
Sure, absolutely.
Fiscally, major problems. Yeah. And we were warned about it. How did they let it happen? And now, you know, they're recognizing it now.
Well,
How do we clean up the
look
mess?
around the room, we look at the Tea Party itself. The Tea Party is of
that generation.
Older generation.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes it takes, well, just look at, if you really go back, and we look at that time and look at how we got into the World War. I mean, you look at what happened on December 7th, 1941. We look at how we've evolved from there, and the strength that we had back then, where we weren't afraid to actually declare a war when we had to and then finish it. Hiroshima and Nagasaki was supposed to be a finishing to a lot of the mindset of the soldier.
That's right.
The defining moment that we won the war, we beat back at that time. Let's look at Hitler and his machine, Japan, who got pulled into it also, who are now a peaceable people, if you will, who we buy Sony Wii's from. But back then, they would stop, and back then we had to go in and drop bombs that killed almost 200,000 people.
Well, let me throw this on you, Craig.
We don't do that these days.
No, you know why?
A pacifist nation.
You know why? Because the American people, I've given this some thought, because the American people cannot stand the sight of blood anymore.
Right.
They're squeamish. How many lives were lost?
Unless it's in a movie or in a video game.
Yeah.
They can handle that.
How many lives were lost in the Civil War? How many lives were lost in World War I? How many American lives now?
Sure.
How many American lives were lost in World War II, in Korea, in Vietnam? Now, okay, and we don't want to diminish the memory or the sacrifice of any American that has died on a foreign battlefield, or in this country for that matter. But how many have died in Afghanistan and Iraq? You get a few hundred deaths, and Americans are ready to pull the plug. Let's get out of there. We have a higher death rate in Chicago.
Sure.
And Americans, for the price of victory, they can't stand the sight of blood. We should have finished in Afghanistan a long time ago. And we're worried about collateral damage, and we're worried about, we're gonna hit some religious relic or something like that. No, man, carpet bomb these people and let's get out.
Well, that
of
was
here.
World War II. That's World War II was that.
Go Dresden on these people and let's go home. But Americans can't stand the sight of blood anymore.
Well, the pacifists, I've been saying it for quite some time, that pacifism, there's no such thing as a free pacifist nation. There's no such thing as a country that is unwilling to fight that has an opportunity to govern itself. It's not possible. The enemy is always going to come. I mean, you know this. I mean, biblically, there's words written in red in the Bible. Why? Why are they there? Okay, what is the story? It doesn't end too good for some. And there's kind of a map for us, but human element, unfortunately, does not. And especially in this country, I can only talk about this country where we live. Until we're really pushed, because we really have it pretty good, really. I mean, it's not that bad in comparison to the rest of the world. Even the poorest among us, I mean, it's a pretty nice life, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, you compare it to other parts of the world, well, you see.
Our poor have smartphones and cable television.
They got cell phones now. I've heard those Obama phones that are out there.
Obama phones.
You got Obama phones, and you got cable TV and air conditioning,
and microwaves.
I'm not saying it to say that people aren't struggling. There are people that are struggling, but the struggling in this country is not struggling at all in comparison to the struggling bar of the rest of the world. And even that, and that's the way the cancer of this society. We won't allow people to fail. We won't allow people to struggle. We won't allow people to feel pain. This socialist movement is about putting a safety net under everyone for any reason. And it's not possible to do that. Some people need to fail. Some people need to go out of business. Yeah. Some people need that to happen.
See, here's the problem. You aspire to put a safety net under everyone. You put a ceiling over everyone.
Oh, absolutely. So, what's the fix? You're at the rally today.
Yeah.
Okay, you travel in, you're speaking to a few hundred people, and you've done it for a long time.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? What are you seeing versus 2-3 years ago versus now as you travel around and you speak?
I'm still seeing these rallies. That's good. It's kind of it still functions sort of as a revival service, if you're going to use church analogy. But it doesn't change the issues that we know have to be changed. We still have to organize politically. All these folks that showed up here in this airport hangar today, they need to be organized. I mean, with just the people that were in this room today, if they were organized, they could change the political status quo, the political reality of at least the state of Texas. Just with the people that were in here today.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're able to take an inventory of the talents of all the people in here, if you have a way to connect with them, contact them, mobilize them, motivate them, all the rhinos that are in Austin, they could be gone. All the rhinos that are in Williamson County government, if there are such, I don't know, or municipal government, they would be gone. To inform them, to mobilize them, and to motivate them. And what you would achieve is absolute political change. You would stop the status quo. You would stop this system of promotion of because somebody is a county commissioner, now they deserve to be a state senator, now they deserve to be lieutenant governor, now they deserve to be governor. Based on what? What have you done to emancipate people? What have you done to liberate people? What have you done about reducing the level of tyranny that's emanating out of Austin? I mean, what laws have you repealed to free the people?
Well, they don't repeal laws. Laws are just designed to be added to.
That's a problem.
It's a mathematical addition, not a subtraction.
So they can go back to the electorate and say, oh, gee, look, I've got this law passed, or I've got this law passed. And Craig, you've been down there to the state capitol. You
Sure.
go down there, and you see these guys operate, especially the House. And the Speaker of the House is sitting up there with his gavel, and they're taking so many votes. It's like he's framing up a house. The gavel is coming down so quickly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had 5,700 bills come to the floor of the House in 2011. In 170 days, 5,700. We had just over 1,600 new laws passed.
You know what I tell people? You know how much 5,700 is? Just count to 5,700.
Try. You had
Just
that
count.
many bills come out of committee and actually get
It's
to the
insane.
floor, okay? You had less than 30 that were vetoed by the governor. We have no idea the level of tyranny that emanated out of Austin. And so what happens is these guys get up there for 170 days or 140 days constitutionally, and they pass all these laws, then they've got a year and a half to schmooze everybody, and everybody thinks they're the greatest people in the world. Well, the folks that are in this room today, the hangar today, they need to be informed about these things. They were shocked when I told them that the Republican Party of Texas in their platform now has amnesty in it. They didn't know that. The big proposal that's coming out of Ways and Means in their off-session committees is that they want to double everyone's vehicle registration fees. They want to increase it by $50. That's 100%. I don't know what y'all pay for y'all's registration on a yearly basis. That's almost 100% increase on what I pay.
Right.
You want to hit the old? You want to hit the poor? You want to double the fee to have that little sticker on the windshield? Really? They want to pay over $100? That's Republicans leading that, man. So-called conservatives. You know, we talk about, I gave this little fact and figure today. Everybody knows generally that a child born today in America comes out of the birth canal owing $50,000 to the government. Well, if they're born in Texas, tack on an additional 10 grand. If a Texan is born today with American debt and Texas debt, they come out of the birth canal owing $60,000 when they take their first breath in God's creation.
Well, at this rate, though, we're not going to pay. We're at a point that you can't pay back $16 trillion plus the unfunded mandates,
unfunded
which are
liabilities.
$50 trillion.
No, try 120 trillion.
Whatever the math is far more than we can really pay back.
You can't pay it back.
But that's part of the design of what's happened in this country, is that those who have infiltrated, part of their goal is to devalue the dollar. They want a world order. They want the dollar to go away, and it's happening right in front of our eyes. And you know, I got to say this. We look at, you made a point earlier about the people who are here of a specific generation, right? The difference is, if we don't win the young vote, the young mind, if there's 100, 200, 300, it's like having 300,000 because they're tweeting, they're Facebooking, they're constantly getting social media out there throughout the entire event.
Yeah.
And they're exactly right.
Exponentially expanding the message. Yeah.
So my goal has been, anytime I can speak at a Sertoma event or anything like that, where a lot of retirees are at, is to teach them how to text. Simple. Say, text your grandkids and say, hey, I love you. Just text, hey, well, grandma just texted me. Wow.
Yeah.
No, break out the text.
I got my mother texting. It's
so you look, but that's how it goes, because then all of a sudden, how hard is it to hold a phone up, take a picture, and text what you're doing? It's not. That's that citizen broadcaster, and that's
citizen, advocacy and activism. You know. Yeah.
And on our side, we want to build the broadcasting side, teaching people how to use the tools that they have. That QR code that sits there on the table, you scan that, it tells you how to get to our site, it tells you how to get to our Facebook. But if you don't have a smartphone or a smart tablet, you can't read that. And that QR code is what a lot of capitalism looks like to the younger people.
That's right.
You know, they go, wow, I don't understand that, I can't do that. And the opposite's true for a lot of older generation. They look at a modern thing like a QR code, it looks Greek.
Right.
So we have to connect the dots, and that's why I love what you're doing. Anytime I can capture you and get you on the program, I always want to do that. I appreciate you coming on. RagingElephants.org. Where are you going to be next? What are you doing?
Oh, geez. Pull out my smartphone and find out where my calendar is. We're doing some fantastic things, Craig. We're launching a brand new media campaign. New TV ads are coming out as early as next week that are geared for this election cycle and beyond. It's going to have unlimited shelf life. Going into the communities of color with these TV ads, we're going to exploit the same-sex marriage controversy that the left has taken hold of, and we're going to take the bull by the horns. We're going to beam that message into the communities of color that don't agree with that position. We're going to use it on illegal immigration. We're going to use it on abortion. We're building brand new TV commercials for that, and we're going to focus a whole lot more on our messaging on those TV commercials, piercing that blue force field, and getting that message into those communities. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. It's going to take several election cycles to get the type of conversion that we want. Remember, all we need is about 20% of the black vote, and we're not going to have a lot of troubles, not as far as our conservative movement is concerned. But it's going to take a little while to get that done.
And the best way they can get behind you, if they want to donate, if they want to get involved,
RagingElephants.org.
RagingElephants.org.
Go to RagingElephants.org, sign up for our email, and you'll find out what we're doing all the time. We're always busy. We've pulled in our horns outside of the state of Texas. All our operations in Ohio and Missouri and Rhode Island and Maryland, we've really started to put those in limbo, and we're focusing entirely 100% on Texas.
Well, there you have it, folks. Apostle Claver, RagingElephants.org. Check it out. Get involved. Thank you so much for coming on today.
CB, my man.
Great to see you.
And
folks,
off the air, I'll call you later, man. I got some other news to tell you. It's going to blow your mind.
Well, there you have it. Folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And always know your vote counts. And if you don't think so, just take a look across other parts of the world where they don't get to vote and look how they live. This is Craig Bushon. We'll be back.